Welcome to Glasgow, Scotland. We are currently walking past Glasgow Central train station in the centre of Glasgow. Glasgow Central Station was opened by the Caledonian Railway in 1879. It's the busiest train station in Scotland and the busiest station in the UK outside of London. Glasgow is the largest city in Scotland. The Greater Glasgow urban area has a population of about 1.2 million. The streets in the centre of Glasgow have a grid pattern, just like cities in the USA. Glasgow city centre was built into a grid at the end of the 18th century. Before this, Glasgow was a small medieval town, which centred around the Glasgow Cathedral and the Glasgow Cross area. We are currently walking on Gordon Street. Gordon Street was named after tobacco merchant John Gordon of Aikenhead. Glasgow dominated the tobacco trade in the 16th century. They exported tobacco from America when America was still a British colony. The tobacco trade was driven by slavery in America. At the end of the 16th century, Glasgow's involvement in the tobacco trade ended due to America winning its independence and no longer having its tobacco exports controlled by Glasgow merchants. We are now walking on Mitchell Street. There are a number of bars and restaurants in this area, and it's a popular nightlife area on the weekends. It's pretty quiet now because it's a Wednesday in the afternoon. The brown building at the corner, up ahead, is the Lighthouse. It's Scotland's Centre for Design and Architecture, a visitor centre, exhibition space, and events venue. There is a 360-degree viewing area at the top with great views of the city. This is Mitchell Lane. At night on the weekends, this lane is usually lively with people enjoying themselves, and there is loud music playing from the pubs. The entrance to the lighthouse is on the right. The lighthouse was designed by the architect Charles Rennie Mackintosh, an innovative Scottish architect and designer. Glasgow has a reputation for having a good nightlife, and there are many other restaurants, bars, and nightclubs throughout the city. We are now approaching Buchanan Street. It's a major shopping street in Glasgow and forms the central stretch of Glasgow's shopping district with a generally more upmarket range of shops than the neighbouring streets. Buchanan Street was also named after a tobacco lord, Andrew Buchanan. Buchanan's plan was to demolish his mansion, which was formerly located on Argyle Street, across from St. Enoch Square. This would make way for Buchanan Street to be built. However, Buchanan lost his fortune after America gained independence. In spite of this, the street continued to bear his name, and many businesses began to operate on Buchanan Street. You will often find buskers singing on Buchanan Street. Buskers don't require a permit in Glasgow, so there's a good chance you'll come across one when walking in the city centre. The Gaelic name for Glasgow is Glashu, which means Green Glen. Glasgow began in 550 AD when St. Kentigern, otherwise known as St. Mungo, started a religious community in the area. The Glasgow Cathedral, which was dedicated to St. Mungo, was built in the 1100s. By the 12th century, Glasgow had been granted the status of what can now be called a city, and the cathedral was the seat of the bishops and, after 1472, the archbishops of Glasgow. This is St. Vincent Place. St. Vincent Place was named to commemorate the victory of Sir John Jervis on 15th of February 1797 off Cape St. Vincent, Portugal, when the Royal Navy defeated the Spanish fleet, which was on its way to join Napoleon's French fleet. There are a number of restaurants in this area. Up ahead is Spanish restaurant Café Andaluz. Across the street is a Scottish restaurant called The Citizen. This street formed the final stretch of the elite road race of the World Cycling Championships. The championships took place in August 2023. The road race track in Glasgow was one of the hardest tracks ever in the championship's history. At the corner on this side of the street is La Vita, an Italian restaurant. Please consider clicking the subscribe button to see more videos and help me grow my channel. The building on the left is pub restaurant The Counting House. It's part of the J.D. Wetherspoon franchise, which is popular throughout the UK. The outdoor seating ahead belongs to The Counting House. We're now approaching George Square. It's the principal civic square in the city. It's one of 6 squares in Glasgow. The 80-foot-high column in the center of the square celebrates Sir Walter Scott, the Scottish novelist, poet, and historian who had a major impact on European and American literature. The building up ahead is the City Chambers, which is the headquarters of Glasgow City Council. Other Scots represented by the statues include poets Robert Burns and Thomas Campbell, inventor James Watt, chemist Thomas Graham, and General Sir John Moore. People love feeding the pigeons. This is the Glasgow Cenotaph, also known as the Glasgow War Memorial. It was constructed to commemorate the Glaswegians, who were killed during the First World War, and was unveiled by Field Marshal Douglas Haig, 1st Earl Haig, in 1924. Further inscriptions were added after the Second World War, and the memorial became a Grade B listed building in 1970. Around 200,000 men from Glasgow served in the First World War, which was around 1/5 of the population at the time. George Square has often been the scene of political events and protests. Perhaps the most famous was the Battle of George Square in 1919, when thousands of workers protested for a 40-hour working week. The gathering descended into violence between the protesters and the police. The Sheriff of Lanarkshire called for military assistance. 10,000 troops, mainly from Scotland, were deployed, although they did not arrive until the riot was over. 6 tanks arrived the following Monday, but never left their depot in the cattle market. George Square was recently used for the filming of the Flash movie, which was released in 2023. The filming involved stunts, including crashing cars and motorcycles. George Square and many other parts of Glasgow were also used for the filming of Batgirl, but unfortunately DC decided not to release the movie. Glasgow has been used in recent years for filming, partly because it looks similar to American cities, with its grid layout and similar buildings. This is Glasgow Queen Street Station, the other major train station in Glasgow. The station was redeveloped in 2021, giving it a more modern appearance. There is an express train to Edinburgh from here, which takes around 55 minutes. There are many other routes, including journeys to the Highlands. Glasgow has a subway train which operates mainly in the central areas of the city. It opened on the 14th of December 1896, and it is the third oldest underground rail transit system in the world, after the London Underground and the Budapest Metro. It's a very simple system which goes in a loop, so you will always get to your destination, even if you get on the wrong train. The entrance to the Buchanan Street subway station is up ahead. This is Dundas Lane. There are many redevelopment plans underway in Glasgow, which intend to make the centre more attractive with more pedestrianised streets and cycle lanes. Most of these plans are just beginning though, so it will take many years before they are completed. We're now heading back into Buchanan Street. On the left is another entrance into the Buchanan Street subway station. These steps lead into Buchanan Galleries, which is a shopping centre. Buchanan Galleries is reported to be demolished this year and will eventually be replaced with a mixture of homes, shops and green space.
Hi mate, quick question. No, you're producer.
The first ever match of international football was held in Glasgow. Scotland played England at the West of Scotland Cricket Ground on November 30th, 1872, and drew 0-0. With an entry fee of 1 shilling, the match had over 4,000 people watching. This match was officially recognized as the first full international game by FIFA. Up ahead is the Glasgow Royal Concert Hall, a concert and arts venue. The Royal Concert Hall is one of the largest halls in the United Kingdom. It was granted royal status shortly before it was officially opened on the 5th of October 1990 at a gala performance attended by Princess Anne. It's set to be demolished along with Buchanan Galleries as part of redevelopment plans. This is a statue of Donald Dewar. He is often regarded as the father of the nation. He is known for his work and commitment to the re-establishment of the Scottish Parliament and was the inaugural First Minister of Scotland. We are now turning into Sauchiehall Street. But for now, we're going to head back to the steps of the Royal Concert Hall. I hope you enjoyed this short tour in Glasgow City Centre. Please subscribe if you want to see more videos. I'll try to make more soon. Hit the like button and give me abuse in the comments for all the things I got wrong. Bye for now.